We are about to pull into map 1, game 1, or sorry, round 1, game 1. Both teams, here we
Taking a look at the two teams, on the left side, we have a fairly standard composition. We do see a roller and an L3 deco. You know, the H3 has been super popular. On the other side, that is 2 missile weapons, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, and not only that, one of the missile weapons is actually the Clash Blaster, something we don't really see.
See, one of the teams already taking a lead right here. It's going so fast, just like you were saying, Pacecat. They're able to stop it right here.
Yeah, right under their noses, exactly as you said. I think the last person alive was able to move up there, and that's what's so scary here in Pace. What do you need to do to slowly push your way back up? Because you can't get too hasty in a situation like this.
It might look a little bit strange, but this midpoint is such a center of contention right now. It seems like Cookie Cat's trying to make sure that he can hold the Rainmaker in place, but of course that's going to be very difficult since Fluffy is of course using the Stingray to sort of just neutralize and keep the Rainmaker in the center.
And in a situation like this, if you are the members of our orange team here, I think it's so imperative that you play patient here, that you understand that if you continue to run in and if you let the opponent build up their force, you're just going to put yourself in a bad situation. And with actually a 2-down situation now, that might have happened. You see Grim has pushed up. Cut's going to get a chance to make a really deep push here. Rose, what do they need to do to defend?
Well, as you may have noticed, Team Green here has to get a little bit leader here, but Team Orange has most of them down. We see the baller coming out here from Skadoodle. Are they going to be able to take the Rainmaker? And yes, they can. It seems to be that they are holding the defense quite well. And as you can see on this map, there's this giant-ass wall right there, which is really hard to go.
It is difficult. A new addition here in Splatoon 2. I don't think that Fluffy has moved from this spot for the last 3 minutes. The jumps are going to come in. Gonna come up here is Cut. Almost there, but the Clash Blaster is going to be just enough. Not out of the woods yet. And this is what's so scary about Rainmaker. You can never...
And it was so
just
close.
like that. Just like that, they were actually able to push it just from 37 to 7, actually. It was, like I said, it's so quick to actually be able to take it. But right now, Orange team has a chance. Cookie Cat trying to see if he can actually push it out to the side. Unfortunately, there's no respawn points, and that is a quick wipe right there going in for Team Flip.
Yes, and now that we have a T-Tech up here in the front, they're going to be able to pressure all they would like here. The Inkjet is on the ready. Let's see if they're able to push it up. Loading a victory there in game 1. Man, oh man. It started off nice, snuck under the nose, but just too much consistent pressure here from our team in the blue. Do either one of you have anything that you'd like to say about that match? I feel like there's a lot to talk about, but it almost felt like a pretty standard Black Belly skate park map.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty basic, and just like Pacecat was saying, even though the other team got the lead so fast, it didn't matter. Once Green got to the end, they had the lockdown, and they just won. They were able to camp them, and it was over.
I actually just want to add about the second map coming up too, because just like that, or just like our first game, it could be over quite quickly. Although, to be honest, I've seen very little of Clan Blitz on Skipper, which is the map Skipper Pavilion, which is the new map that just came out. We haven't really seen too much of it in rotation. I think people might have gotten a chance to sort of play it in more in private battles. But what do you think, Nine? Have you actually played this map yet?
I have played it a little bit. It's, I would say, one of the more interesting ones to play because you have 2 very easy ways to access. You can go down on the bottom of the map and you can build your way back up, or you kind of just get the across the gorge, if you will. But I think that both pushes, you have so much visibility, right? Nothing's going to sneak up on you here. So it really becomes a matter of building your specials and pushing it in. And I don't know, Rose, do you have any other parts you could add to that? Do you have a take on this map?
Well, I'm actually not very familiar with Skipper Pavilion. As you may know, it is a new map, of course, and earlier today, we saw some splat zones on Skipper Pavilion, but I have actually not played any clamblets on here, and I have no clue where the baskets are or how everything is gonna go.
Well, you will learn as these players learn right here. Game 2. Excuse me. Getting into it right now. And I wonder if we're going to see any splashdown weapons. You know, splashdown has become a little bit more popular here, Pace. Do you think it's just because we got a nice new little buff to it and now we want to try it? Or do you think that people are starting to use it more for utility rather than a panic button?
There is I actually have to agree with you on both of the things that you just mentioned. Yes, it does function a little bit more safely as a panic button, because if you do use it and you lose it, you still get the 25% loss as opposed to 50% loss, which is great. However, in the utility that it provides for Clamblitz, of course, being able to actually neutralize bubbles or incoming bubbles, that'll come in super handy for Clamblitz.
And we see loading right here already scoring using the splashdown right away, getting some splats, and they're taking the lead quite easily here. Cookie Cat getting splat as well by loading.
I think it was Watson a couple days ago or maybe last week who posted something like, guys, maybe Ink Brush is good. And there you go right there, opening things up in a big way. That basket is still open. Do you think that they can stop this at all?
It's going to be very, very difficult to say the least. Right now, it seems that Purple Team has to actually be able to push them out. Right now, they're sitting at 5 points left in order to actually claim victory. However, I do think that's going to be the end of the push. However, Loading is coming in right now, trying to see if he can actually pick off someone. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get that last clam in. So we're back to the neutral game right now. And, of course, Team Purple trying to see if they can actually get a little bit more map pressure before they push.
You know, one of the fun things to see is when a backlaner, in this case Fluffy, is pushed up in an aggressive position. That generally means that your team has pushed up well. So good on Matt closing that one down there. But Rose, I know you said you weren't familiar with this, but what do teams need to do in Clamblitz as a whole? Talk a little bit about what makes a good team on this mode.
Well, Clamblitz is obviously a very interesting mode, and you need a lot of team coordination. What you see pretty often is people using ballers, and as you can see in this map right as well, you can see the baller right now, also in combination with the Ink Brush, who just moves so fast. And when you have the power clam, one of your players or one of your team members is at the goal, you can just jump to it and score right away. But it seems they were a little bit too early using the baller right there because no one was able to jump.
No, and credit to the yellow team in that situation, the purple team rather. The play to make there is not to focus on the baller, but instead focusing on the people who are holding the power clams, because generally they're probably pushed back. And you can take a lot of free real estate as you do that.
Yeah, we see Team Yellow here taking most of the map control. And but Cookie Cat, they actually broke the barrier. Let's see how many points they can get.
This is going to be a good chance for Purple Team to actually get in a couple of clams. We saw a super jump there coming in with the power clam, but I don't think that's going to be able to actually push in right there. Now, of course, Yellow Team having a couple of power clams of their own, trying to see if they can actually sneak in position. But right now, it's going to be up to Cookie Cat and the rest of the team to see if they can actually push back on this defense. Push forward a little bit with this defense. Nine, what can you tell me exactly about just all this action that's happening in mid right here?
Well, there's a lot of action, and one other thing I'd like to say is that this is a double Tenta-Missile composition that we're seeing from the members of the yellow team. I mean, they've got the splashdown, they've got the baller as well, so standard, but double Tenta-Missile, and I'm wondering here if they're hoping that they can get the opponent congested and trying to move together to play defense and use that to scatter them and get some easy picks. It's been a pretty even situation so far since that big opening. So I think that maybe Purple Team has kind of slowed things down and they kind of are starting to play their game a little bit more. Rose, do you agree as we see a super jump to nobody?
Actually, yeah, I was just thinking, what is that super jump doing? But Tenta-Missiles is it can be such a great special, especially in Clamblitz when everyone is just huddled up together to the goal, where you can put on a lot of pressure on the opponent's team. But generally, I am not really sure what is going to do the rest of the game. And that was it. All right.
Speaking of the rest of the game, that game is now over. Another convincing victory for the yellow team. And Paste, it just seems right now like they are executing their game plan a little bit better. We saw that first game. They are confident in the way that they've played. They made a very big switch, a lot of changes in their composition, but they have a game plan. And I think that's so important when you're trying to play at this level.
If there's one thing that rings true from the first two games that we saw, it seems that not only they're very patient with their approaches, they just kind of wait to see what the opposing team is doing and capitalize on their mistakes. But even just from that game and the first game, I noticed that a lot of their comps is based off a little bit more of a divide and conquer sort of strategy, using double Tenta missiles. I think we saw the double Tenta missiles also in the first game as well. I'm not sure if this is something intentional or if they're just playing something that just a little bit more in their comfort zone, I guess. But the double Tenta missiles and the baller was definitely more of a way to sort of scatter the opponents and try to see if they can actually pick them off. As I said, divide and conquer. What do you think, Rose?
Yeah, like you were saying, the first team, I feel like their team comps were just generally a lot better, and it seems like the other team has to really adapt, especially now in tower control, on what they are going to do. We did see 2 Tenta missiles, which actually might work because Tenta missiles can get the opponent off the tower, which is so annoying when you just have them on you constantly. Yeah, let's see what they are going to bring to the table right now.
The first checkpoint, so important on this map. Both teams have been running a sniper and will continue to do so. One of the reasons why this map is so not beloved, for lack of a better term, is because it is so fast. Once you move past that first checkpoint, it seems like you go from 60 to 30 to 10 in the blink of an eye. Teams generally don't like that here. You have to control things, and Cut already breaking through for a full wipe. Doesn't even have to go to squid form.
Yeah, he was just standing around a little bit. There was not much he has to do. So Grim right now on the tower, already at the checkpoint. And they already have so much ground covered. Can they make a comeback? What do you think, Nine? Oh, sorry, I was gonna say Paste. But you can both have some input.
It seems like right now there's just the amount of aggression that Plague is putting into this. Fluffy, even from the backline, putting in an amazing amount of aggression, taking off 2 members on Road on the Show right here. And this is coming up to the final 10 points before the...
And that was the most Moray Towers tower control that ever Moray Towers tower controlled. Everything went wrong there. A full wipe at the very start of that allowed Fluffy to push up, allowed all the aggressive members to push up as well. When your backliner is on Overlook using your special, using your Stingray, you know something has gone horribly wrong. There wasn't even a chance to build up a special to go the other way. And that right there is why it is in the House of Horrors. Do either one of you have any other further things to add to that set?
Just a couple of things, actually. First off, GG's to Plague, actually to both teams, but Plague just played amazingly. I don't think we did give them enough credit for how patient they were and how well they utilized a lot of their specials together. Once again, there was that divide and conquer sort of strategy that we saw in that game where as soon as they were able to pick, or as you saw in the beginning part of that game, Cut was just able to play so aggressively, pick off a certain amount of the members on the opposing team, and then with the rest of the team, just kind of go up the Overlook and just try to sort of cover. It's just not even about covering the tower. It's just a matter of just going all in and trying to see where they can actually capitalize on more mistakes that was being made by Road on the Show. What do you think, Rose?
Yeah, like you were saying, I think there's a returning theme here going on with